and I'll give you Novella.
Thank you, Gabriel. And hello, everyone. I hope you can see my screen. So as Gabriel introduced me already, you might already know me. I'm from customer success for HP Siteflow, and I will demoing for you today this new outsourcing functionality. It has been around for a little while already, and I know some of you attending today have already had the chance to try it out and benefit from it, but also provided us with very useful feedbacks on how to enhance this by making it more fit to your needs. Hopefully, this webinar today will help you trying this functionality out. I certainly encourage you all to give it a go, and especially to share with us your feedbacks, questions, doubts, and observations. So before we dig into this, we have enabled the Q&A in this Zoom meeting. If you can maybe locate it, it would be great. Once you find it, please let me know. If you have any questions about any of the features of outsourcing that I will be demoing, please put it in the Q&A. The chat in general moves way too fast, so it's going to be hard to track the questions there. So we are going to track them in the Q&A. I will also stop at the end of each chapter that I will be presenting and review if there are any questions to address. Plus, in about half an hour, we will be addressing together with Gabriel the best we can any remaining open question. At the very end of this webinar, we'll be also sending out a super quick poll for which your feedback will be very much appreciated. And of course, feel free to use the chat to continue connecting and introducing yourselves. In case you have any questions, I've posted a comment in the chat with some knowledge base link to have a wider view, a written view of this outsourcing functionality, and also the email address for our support desk. And also, I've clarified which order submission endpoint will require to be used for order submission using outsourcing functionality. And yes, without further ado, I will start. So just a quick index showing you what I will be demoing in the next half an hour. So I will be introducing to you what outsourcing is from a Siteflow perspective, and we will be getting familiar with the terminology that will be used during this demo. And we will go also through each of the required steps to be able to start outsourcing, namely the linked accounts, the pair products. And for this specific step, I will be also showing you what we believe are the most common use cases that you will likely encounter. And the rule sets, of course. Also for this one, we will be showing a couple of useful examples for what an order is going to look like when it's partially outsourced and how it's going to look like when it's fully outsourced. And we will then review and summarize the good practice to bear in mind to ensure successful order submission and ingestion, and conclude introducing the new network analytics. Perfect. So outsourcing means to be able to route the work I could produce in the house or not to another PSP that can produce this product in their facility. The goal of this new feature is to allow a PSP to outsource one or more items, SKUs, and products within an order they receive from a brand, and route it to another PSP with no change on the brand's side. The aim of outsourcing is basically increasing the capacity, broaden the product offering, and provide also a quick solution during, for example, production failure or any other issue that you might experience. So outsourcing is product and SKU based, and it's also based on business rules to be able to route these orders. It is quite intuitive and easy to use and easy to configure, and it allows monitoring all the orders that you have been outsourcing, and it's very transparent, the visibility it offers, because you are going to be able to view what you are outsourcing and to whom. And the most important part of it is that there are no changes for the brand. The way it works, it's pretty much what can be seen in this flow chart. The brand sends in an order that is composed by 2 line items, 1 mug and 1 book, for example. The mug will be produced in-house, and the book will be outsourced to a different PSP based on the routing rules. But let's now get familiar with the terminology that we will be using. So as you can see here, we are using the terminology PSP-A for the PSP that is outsourcing the product and the order. So it's basically the outsourcer. PSP-B is instead the producer of this order and the receiver of this order. Further to this, and I will jump now into the UI because I think it's definitely worth it to visualize it correctly. I will be demoing from PSP-A perspective. Okay, so I'm going to use an account that is called Outsourcing. Hopefully it's going to be very useful to follow the demo. And you can see here I prepared some tabs that will be helpful for you to follow with different colors. All right, so on the order tabs, that's the one of the first differences you will notice. It's that we have now divided the order tabs within incoming and outgoing orders. So this means that you will see here, I am the PSP-A, the outsourcing PSP, my brand submitting to my end. And I will see also here some logos showing if it has been fully outsourced or partially outsourced. And we will see this in more detail right now. So briefly showing you how a partially outsourced order is going to look. You can see here the order has been split into 2 shipments. One, it's the one produced in-house, and the second one is the one that is going to be outsourced. Okay, and I can see here in the incoming section. So to learn more about where this shipment 2 has been outsourced following this outsourcing rule called books, I can click these 3 dots over here. This will route me directly to the outgoing section, which is basically the section where I am going to be the source and the destination is going to be my PSP-B producing this. Okay, so we have here more information about where it has been outsourced to. And we can use this source order ID for the outgoing order section to communicate with our partner PSP. And I will going to show you right now. So the outgoing section for the PSP-A, you can see here, I am the source in this case. And here are the different destinations accounts that are going to produce my outsourced orders. Let me show you here. If you remember, I just copy the outgoing order. We have it here. And this for PSP-B in this case is going to show as in the incoming section of this order because I am going to be the source for PSP-B. Let's go back to where we were. So we have introduced a bit the terminology that we're going to use. We have shown you how the UI for the order section is going to be displayed. And I will continue now by showing you what are the key requirements and steps to undertake to be able to fully start outsourcing. So first of all, it is important to bear in mind that the outsourcing relationship is between PSPs. So if you are the outsourcer PSP, the first requirement is to have a Pro license or a Siteflow PrintOS license. If you are PSPB, so the producer, you need to have at least a Siteflow Lite account to start outsourcing. One of the first step you want to set in place with your partner is the outsourcing relationship, the outsourcing invitation. And I'm going to show you how this is going to look like. The network tab is where we will have all core operations to start outsourcing. The dashboard tab is going to be sort of summary of what is going on in my account, in my outsourcing account. So I can see how many linked accounts I have, how many paired product and SKUs I have, how many orders that have been outsourced I have received. Plus, you can also access here to the knowledge base links that are very handy. So we have said that the first step to require is to have outsourcing permissions in place. You can see here in the linked account network, you can either send an invite to your partner PSP, where you would put the email address here, of course, select PSP as an option, and ensure that the checkbox of outsourcing is toggled. You can also modify your permissions directly from the linked account view, where you can see you can toggle and untoggle and as much times as you need. So this is basically the first sine qua non condition that you will need to start outsourcing. You will need to set this outsourcing relationship in place before anything. I will continue. Gabriele, I don't know if there are many questions. Maybe I can continue showing the pairing of the products, which I think it's quite interesting. And then we can stop briefly.
We don't have questions on this point. I think we can continue on.
All right. So the next step is to pair the products. This happens in this section over here under outsourcing. And the pairing of the product is an action that you will need to be able to route the order submitted by the brand according to the SKU or the product to your partner PSP. So let me show you exactly how it works. We're going to have two use cases in this pairing product steps. The first one is when the producer PSP, when the outsourcing PSP is going to request a product, to pair a product to the producing PSP that the producing PSP already knows is available in their catalog. And they don't want to create a brand new one on their end because they know they have one available. So they want just to reuse that one to produce the order that they are receiving from PSPA. And let me show you how this is going to look. So I am PSPA, and I'm going to ask to PSPB to outsource books product for me. So you can see here the screen is going to show the SKU code and the minimum SLA and the SLA duration. I will select this, and I will also select here to whom I want to outsource this product to. I will select my account over here and send request. It is pending now. From here, I can either delete my request if I don't want to outsource it anymore before it's been accepted. So to bear in mind, for a successful match of the product, we need to have these three parameters matching completely. So the SLA, the component code, and the batchable attributes need to match between the two PSPs. So let's go here. You can see that now I am PSPB and I have received this request. So I know I have books available. I can decline the request if I definitely don't want to produce it, and I can view the details and accept the request. If I view the details, I will see what is required to ensure a correct matching. So I will see here the minimum SLA is 0, the SLA duration is 5, the component is called cover and text, and I have 2 batchable attributes in the cover. Perfect. I do think I have this one in my catalog. So let's go ahead and accept it. Let me search within my catalogs. From here, I can see the SLA matches. So let's go ahead. And I got a successful pairing right now. So this pairing action is done when, as the producer, PSP, I know I already have this product available within the catalog. This is definitely handy if you don't want to create too many products that are too similar. I will proceed now. Well, just a quick, briefly wanted to bring attention to some expected errors that you might get. As I said, if you don't have an SLA that match, and matching the SLA means that the minimum SLA needs definitely to match. The SLA range can vary, but the minimum needs to match. So we might have 0.5. As a producer, I can have 0.3. Otherwise, I would get that the minimum SLA needs to be lower or equal. Then you might get component code not matching errors, pop-ups. And in the UI, these messages are very clear. I'm going to show you now what the second use case that we believe is going to be quite common between in these pairing products. And this is showing the import SKU functionality. So this happens when, if I am the producer and I've just received this pairing product request from PSPA, I do not have this type of product on my catalog. So I don't want to spend too much time manually aligning with my PSP, saying, okay, let's change to this, let's add the other one, let's add the batchable attribute. And this comes very handy for this type of situation. So I have prepared a product that I know PSPB does not have in their catalog, and I'm going to show you right now. This product is called Apr'23 Outsourcing. I'm going to select the SKU. I'm going to select the PSP I want it to outsource to, and I will send a request. From here, I've just received this. We can quickly check in the catalog if I do have this product available. You can see here, I don't have any matching product. So I can use this import button over here. As you can see, this will open to a screen in which on the left side, I have the parameters submitted by PSPA, while on the right side, I have basically how this is going to be imported on my end. I can also edit it because as PSPA, I might not agree with receiving this type of terminology, and I would like to change it. Plus, if you do have on your account very similar or exactly identically called attributes or any other parameter, you will see this button called reuse available. So it is informing me that I do have this type of attributes available, so I can reuse it. And I can now close the edit mode and import. And it's active. I have now successfully performed an import product between PSPA and PSPB. You can, of course, as PSPB, you can disable the product as soon as you don't want to produce this anymore. This will be automatically informed on the PSPA end. Do we have any questions, Gabriel? Should I continue or hopefully it's clear?
Yeah, we can continue. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, we are now approaching the last required step in order to be able to start outsourcing. So this step is called setting up the rule sets. The rule sets are in charge to route during order submission the orders that are received by my brand to the partner that will be producing those orders. The rule that will be configured will be taken into account during this order submission. So it will be automatically routed according to the destination account configured on the rule set. It is product specific and it is applied during order submission. The rule set is required to be set up on the PSP A end. So the PSP that is going to outsource this order. Further to this, each rule set can have more than one product applied, but a product cannot be shared within more than one rule set. And each rule set can have also more than one rule. I will now also show you some examples of how a rule set can affect an order with multiple line items and how multiple rules within a rule set also interplay together in determining whether an order is going to be partially outsourced or fully outsourced. So let's explore this example here. In this example, we have only one product linked to this rule. And the rule has these two logics, if all or if any of the following applies, and several variables available. You can choose within shipment country codes, shipment state, SKU code, any of the line items quantity, attributes, and order reception time. For this example, I have prepared one rule that is based on the attributes of any of my components on the product being outsourced. Okay, you can see here the action that you are requesting in rule 1 is changing the order destination account to our PSPB over here. And you can also have an otherwise in this case, in which if none of the above is applying, you can change the order destination account to a different PSP. So let's see now how this is going to look in a partially outsourced order. I am PSP A. And we have received from our brand two line items order, a coffee mug, and another line item that has been outsourced following this rule. So the coffee mug will remain in the house, and let's see why. Because it's not encompassed in this routing rule. Instead, we did encompass the second product following the webinar rule, because as you can see here, the two attributes under which we have outsourced have been honored. So correctly, it has been outsourced to the expected PSP B. Another example for instead this time a fully outsourced order for a multiple line items order would be this one. As you can see here, we have two line items, and in this case, the coffee mug has also been routed following their specific product coffee mug rule set. So you can see here, again, I can click on the three dots. Let's go for the coffee mug this time, and I can see where it has been outsourced, and it has been outsourced to a different PSP. We can also check more information by going exactly into the rule set. And I can see here that this rule set has more than one rule applied. And it says that If any of the line items quantity is greater than, then change to this account. Otherwise, it could be based on country code, etc., and all the variables seen. When you have multiple rules within a rule set, you can also use this checkbox called stop running the rule sets once this rule is applied, which becomes very handy if you have more than one rule within this rule set. And it will allow the rule in which this checkbox is checked to take precedence over the other rules. Another example I wanted to share is a multiple product, multiple rules rule set. And let's see this one. I have prepared this rule called business cards and cushions, which is created to outsource business cards and cushions. So in this case, we also have two rules here, and you can see that the first one is based on the SKU code and the item quantity, and the second rule is based on the opposite condition. So if none of the SKU is one that we have defined before, then change the destination to a different account. So we can see, for instance, I'm going to show you the partially outsourced one under this rule. We have cushions. It has not been outsourced because the quantity is lower than the defined one. And we have the business cards that instead were routed to our PSPB as it was based on the SKU and the quantity. So in this case, it was only partially outsourced. We can also check a fully outsourced one, but I think it's now quite clear. Just wanted to briefly show you how we can get this as complex as we want. I have prepared an example of 3 items being outsourced. Each one of those has been outsourced to a different PSP. All right, so we see here coffee mug, books, and postcards. Let me show you from the incoming one. We can see here how this one is now. This was showing as a validation error because, and I will show you later on a slide that we have prepared, when you do not have the shipping methods correctly mapped between your PSPs, it will fail into submission error. So as we can see here, this one, one of the line items have been outsourced to OneFlow, and I'm going to show you the rule set as it's going to be easier to follow. We have one for postcards, one for books, and one for coffee mug. I can quickly stop if there are any questions on this chapter. Otherwise, we can continue.
We don't have any questions at this point.
All right.
We can go ahead.
So, okay, a couple of points to bear in mind to ensure a successful submission before I proceed showing you the last bit of this demo. It is important to map the shipping methods, as I was just showing you, with aliases between the accounts to avoid submission errors. So you, as a PSPA, you already have in place your shipping method with your brand. So PSPB will need to map this shipping method with PSPA. And the easiest way, because mainly you're going to use very different shipping methods, because you're going to also outsource based on country codes. So you're going to outsource to a completely different country to ensure it is easier, you can simply use the alias. So you can have in place an alias among between your PSPA and PSPB that meets the alias that is used for the brand. So shipping methods is one of the most important things to bear in mind, how these need to map to ensure a successful submission. Also, I wanted to bring attention to the fact that the prepress parameters are not retained between PSPA and PSPB. So this means that if you have an infotech, if you have a filing position as a PSPA, this will not be passed to PSPB. So this is has a very simple explanation, because PSPB is the PSP in charge of any prepress and production wise work. So anything needs to be set up on their end. So this is the same for the production parameters, as I've just mentioned. You can set and align with your PSP to set up a computed attribute in place that need to match between the two PSPs. So this will ensure also a mapping of the computed attributes on the PSP B end. We have improved our shipment-ship postbacks because we believe this shipment-ship postback is one of the most important one that you would like as a PSPA to have track of when my outsourced order is going to be shipped by my partner PSP. So definitely I also want to inform my brand that their order has been successfully shipped. So the shipment-ship postback will work from PSPB to PSPA. Of course, they need to have in place a shipment-ship postback and trigger configure, and this will, as soon as the PSPA will receive their status update, and I'm going to show you in the UI how this looks. The change of status from live to shipped will automatically be updated on the brand side as well. So if I was to ship as PSPB an order, let's ship this one. Let's ship, yes. And you can see here, it has been automatically updated. The status update works for canceled and error. Everything that is a status change will be automatically and contemporaneously updated between the two UIs. So for any other prepress related postbacks, there has been no changes. So order error, order received, order print ready, it will depend on the postback in place between PSPB and PSPA and PSPA and their brand. We can now deep dive into our last part of this demo and introducing to you the new network analytics. So the networks analytic tab is an analytics for all your linked accounts and provides you with exactly the outsourcing information. So this is specifically for the products and orders that have been outsourced. This is from the PSPA, so the PSP outsourcing their orders perspective. And you can see here, for instance, I can see in my all accounts analytics how many linked accounts I have, how many paired products I have, how many orders that have been outsourced I received today, how many are due, how many have been shipped. Further, you can see here also quantitative data displayed in colors. So the due, of course, is red, the shipped are green, and scrolling down, you can see here the topped linked accounts. So I'm currently outsourcing with these three. You can see the completion, meaning how many of those orders that were received by and outsourced to this account have been shipped. Further to this, we also have the top paired products. How many of my linked products and paired products are currently being actively outsourced? So it is extremely useful to discern what am I outsourcing, to whom, and which products. Of course, for any daily production inquiries, we suggest you to still consult the analytics tab that we have, the general one. But as we said, this is specifically built for the outsourcing orders. Plus, you can also have the visibility to each of your producing PSPs. So that will discern how many of these general percentages that we are seeing in the general network analytics are being divided within the PSPs that are producing my products. There is, of course, no impact of the network analytics on the production analytics, as I mentioned before, because anything that has been outsourced will also show in the analytics steps. But you won't see it there because we discern what has been outsourced or not in these network analytics steps. So the general analytics will still relay on the relationship between the PSPA and the brand for any other detail it is required. And as you can see here, it is quite visual and quite easy to interpret the data that are visible. And with this, I conclude my demo. I just wanted to thank you all for the participation. It was a very big participation, so really thank you all. At least we received a very good feedback on having this prepared. And I think we can now release the short poll that